Questioning everything today, we will be questioning Amy Korn-Reavis, better sleep coach. Better sleep coaching, sleep coach?
Better sleep coach.
Better sleep coach. Because she's better than the sleep coach that you've never heard of. Just kidding. I've never, honestly, before you and James, I'd never heard of a sleep coach. And I didn't know that was a thing.
So most people think of sleep coaches, they think of sleep coaching for babies or newborns. But here's the thing. Sleep is such an integral part of our lives. We put so little emphasis on it and so little understanding on it. And so when you start to be tired all the time and you can't concentrate and you're frustrated, where do I go to get some help? And that's where sleep coaches come in, because most people are just not getting enough sleep.
That is so interesting. Now, I'm gonna back it up with a little story. So, I called Amy to help her with her design, and she taught me how to sleep better in return. And then she ended up doing her own design because, I drop the ball every now and then. Sorry about that. But go ahead.
No, I just did a temporary design because I was I just didn't have anything to put up there.
I like it.
But it's not a bad design.
It's not at all. It's actually very calming. I should have put lavender in my essential oil diffuser before this. I know I'm gonna sleep well tonight. So not tactic.
The sleep routine that I gave you.
Thank you. The sleep routine that you gave me was absolutely amazing. And I passed it on to my sister. I don't know if she tried it yet. I have to reach out to her. But since you gave that to me, I want to say it's been 2 weeks. I've been waking up consistently at 6:30. And this last weekend, I went to a area director retreat for Toastmasters. And I was able to get up at 5:30 in the morning. I don't usually see that hour unless I stay up for it.
Isn't it nice?
It is. And that routine before bed, it was making a new routine. Making a new routine. Just, I didn't have to focus on not doing something because I just focused on the new routine and it just knocked out the rest. So it completely changed my life with this sleep coaching. Talk to me a bit about what got you into, why sleep coaching of all the places you could coach?
So I'm a registered respiratory therapist. I went into the field right out of high school, which was a very young field at the time. And I am the person that if they give you an opportunity to learn something new, I'll put my hand up. And I was a little bit burnt out as a respiratory therapist. And they said they needed somebody to go work in the sleep lab. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So I started working in sleep in 1999. The one thing I can say is that I love my doctors. I love everything about the sleep lab and the field of sleep testing. But we're not teaching people how to sleep properly. We're not giving them the support they need. And so I started doing for free in my own time, coaching my people who got new CPAP machines.
Okay.
And then from there, I grew it and I wrote a book, How to Make CPAP Your Friend. And then people who had other sleep problems started coming to me. And then I started coaching. And then I had a couple of coaching companies come to me and say, can you be one of our sleep coaches? And so there's a handful of us who do sleep coaching for executives.
You did tell me about that. You said that you teach business people how to sleep better so that they're more productive at work.
Yes.
Talk to me more about that. That's really cool. How can someone, oh my goodness, sorry, mom's calling. How can someone get a hold of you and make that happen? Do you do that for all companies or is it just a specific company?
So no, I do. I'm willing to work I work privately with people, and I work for a company doing subcontracting work. But if somebody wants to work with me, they can email me at amy@amykornreavis.com. They can go to my website. I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram, and you can direct message me. My name on Instagram is Amy Sleep and Brain Geek.
Amy Sleep and Brain Geek. That's got a ring to it. That's actually, it rhymes too.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you could make a mantra to put people to sleep.
That's not, I don't believe mantras will put you to sleep.
Put you in a trance more like.
Yeah, not the same thing.
No, no, not at all. So was there ever any inspiration?
Yeah,
What?
actually.
Okay.
And actually my day job, because I still have a day job, because I like that security, but I'm going to give it up. I work for a woman who, when I was first in this field, I met her because she had her own business within the field where she ran a school. And she was always an entrepreneur. And so I she mentored me from afar. She didn't always know she was mentoring me, but she always mentored me. And then when I started working with her, she turned around and she's like, "You're so impressive. I am so impressed with you. I learned so much from you. You are such a mentor to me." And I was like, "Huh?" I'm like, "You've been my mentor since I met you back in like 2000." And we both laughed. So I've known her
2000.
since
Okay.
2000, and she's been my mentor since 2000. She didn't know it. And I've been mentoring her, and I didn't know it.
Isn't it funny how that works? The mentor-mentee relationship ends up being a feedback loop where the more that I learn from you, the more that you feel gratified and wanting to teach. And then through teaching, when one teaches to learn, because
Right.
one teaches to learn. And I never understood that until just recently, actually, within the last 5 years, because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really have mentors. I had people I looked up to, but no one that I could really ask or that I felt comfortable asking about anything. And the thing that I feel like I read this somewhere, or maybe it was a revelation I had. I'm always reading, doing, going. They said that, or I read that, I don't know. It said, wherever it was, that the most unfulfilling thing is when someone mentors someone and then they don't hear back from that person to give feedback on whether what they did helped or not, and then they don't feel fulfilled for helping, and so they don't do it.
Right.
But one of the most gratifying things is to hear that you made a difference in someone's life.
Yeah. And I think that's what Laura and I do is we feed off of each other, and we both are growing our businesses because I work for her and she encourages me. And then when I have questions, she'll answer the questions. And when I need support because I'm feeling overwhelmed, she gives me support. And she even told me not that long ago that when you are ready to exit this, I will support you 110%.
Mm, mm. Exiting with integrity.
I
That's
do all
beautiful.
things pretty much with integrity, but you have to also be with somebody that like I truly, truly respect her and and appreciate the mistakes she made
Mm,
and the road she traveled. I don't expect her to be perfect. And I know that like she had to close one business before she opened another one. And so I know she went through the difficulties of entrepreneurship too.
mm. So, would you say that it was someone that had been somewhere and done something that you wanted, and that's what attracted you?
Yes, absolutely.
I want to dig into that a little more. So, was there Trying to figure out how to word this right.
Stop worrying about how to word it right and just ask it.
I love you for that. Has that been the main one, or do you have multiple sources of inspiration?
I've had different mentors since I was in 7th grade.
Hmm.
My first mentor was a math teacher in high school or middle school, I guess. And he taught me a lot about that you can be a good person and give people support and not expect anything back. And he was he had a group of students who just he knew had really rough childhoods, and we would spend our lunches in his room, and he would teach us how to be successful in school. And that was my first mentor. I had a mentor in college. I've had mentors at different times in my life when I was open to it. And when I wasn't open to it, I didn't have them. And there, you know, we all go through phases in our life where we're open to learning and growing, and times where we're not.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there was a time, of course, for the sake of the name of the show, do you feel like there was a time that made you start to question everything?
There were two.
Mm.
I had, because I had an interesting childhood, shall we say, I was going to a therapist, and I had asked him, there were skills that I didn't know how to do, things like budgeting and how people got all the housework done and the cooking done and all that. And I didn't understand how to do all of that and how to budget. And I had asked this therapist that, and he looked at me very seriously and he said, well, who taught you? And I was like, huh? And it made me question everything that I believed about the world, and that you have to be taught things in order to be able to do them, and that you're not just born being able to know how to do all these things. Like, successful people aren't born knowing how to be successful. They had to learn it. And it just made me question everything I believed. And then the second time that I questioned things, it was like, I guess I was like 45 around my birthday. And I was like, what am I waiting for? Why do I keep thinking that I'll do this when I get older? I will have my own business when I get older. I will, you know, take vacations when I get older, because life throws you curveballs, and I didn't expect the one that I got. And I was like, I need to start living my life right now.
Yes.
And take chances, but within reason, like not like chances that are going to could be catastrophic, but I'm willing to stretch myself and get way out of my comfort zone in order to reach my goals.
That's a good one. That's really good. So, wow, there's a lot in there. My mind just went blank. Okay, so
you went into overwhelm. You're like, wow.
well, because you speak to a deeper part of me. Rough childhood. You question everything because someone asked you a question that actually stumped you, and then it's like, wait, whoa, and then like, who taught you? People don't do things unless they're taught. There's a whole lot to be said for that quote alone, because in parenting, we get mad at our children, or let me speak for myself. I get mad at my children for doing things that, when I take a deeper look at myself, I realize that I'm just mad because they're doing what I did. And
Right.
I'm still trying to figure myself out, so I don't know how to tell them to fix it. But I'm angry at them, and the only person I can be mad at is myself, because they're only sponges. They can only soak up what's given to them, what's around them.
Correct.
So the teacher asking you who taught you when you came to them with a problem, and the second one, I don't know why my mind just went blank. You did blow my mind.
I I was given a very my husband became ill,
Okay.
and the all the plans of when we were older and when we were empty nesters and everything kind of went out the window.
That's what it was. Destination junkie, right?
Right.
I'll do this when I get here I will. If
Right.
only I had, I would. We all do it. I feel like I do it too still. And it's that have be do model, or have do be, and
Hmm.
it has to be flipped. You have to be the kind of person and do the kind of things that get the results of what it is that you want.
Well, and you also have to start saying it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Mm,
It's okay to stretch, and it's okay to fail forward.
I like that. Fail forward.
I love John Maxwell's book Fail Forward. I am the biggest self-help junkie, and John Maxwell's book Fail Forward. I love everything John Maxwell, but that's my favorite.
Okay. John Maxwell, fail forward. I like that. Now, being being a self-help junkie, you fit right here in my heart. I am all about improvement, and I kind of hate that they termed it self-help, because I mean, we're connected to source. We just help ourselves by connecting more with the source through
Right.
practicing a set of principles and learning how the laws of the world work, and then applying it in everything, because there's no new ideas under the sun, right? Everything that's here has always been and always will be. Do you feel as if there was an aha moment besides the two questions? Was there a moment of clarity once you took those steps to go further and start questioning everything?
No, I never had like that brilliant aha moment. I just I think I just tend to go out and do,
Mm,
and then figure it out from there. And then I was never one that didn't like, I don't like to ask for help, but I'll do it anyway.
yes. Yes.
And so there are a lot of people and they're like, oh, I just won't ask for help. I just won't ask for help. I'm like, why? I don't understand that, because if you're asking for help, most likely it's a situation that either you're experiencing, like everybody's experienced it, or
Yeah.
something similar to it. Nobody is a happy little unicorn. I'm sorry, you're not a unique unicorn.
I am.
No, no.
I am on camera.
Yes, on camera,
Yes.
but the fact is that we're not little unicorns out there. Almost everybody's experienced the same kind of strife. And if if I ask you, how did you manage to get through it, that means that there's some things that I'll learn and maybe I can try what you tried, or I'll know that, well, I didn't find a solution, but this is what I tried and it didn't work. So that means that's one less mistake I have to make. That's one
Yes.
less light bulb I have to invent.
Yes. Yes. Borrowing from other people's experience, which is really hard to do, but it saves you so much time. I think
Yeah.
that's what I love about the self-help space, is that these people go and they work on themselves, and then they get that passion inside because they see the change and they want to give it back, and all they do is compile all of the self-help that they learned to give it
Mm-hmm.
back. And and then it has this new flavor on it, because everyone's unique, so everyone has a different set of experiences, a different worldview on life, And so when you mix that with the stuff that they've learned in order to help them grow in the way that they applied it, in the way that they understood it with their background, it creates this new beautiful thing.
It's
I
so
see it.
funny because if you read any of the self-help books, how many other self-help books do they quote?
Did you see it just happen? You just blew my mind because you're right. And like you said, people are afraid of asking for help. I was afraid to attribute any of, like when I was making music, I didn't want anybody to know that they weren't my own instrumentals, that I was borrowing instrumentals or that I hadn't paid for it. I just told them I made it because it was easier to say that than it was to either ask for help with that or like I find it hard to quote other people because I read and hear so much that sometimes I genuinely don't remember where I heard it. So I'll say it, but when I do know where I heard it, it's hard to, I feel like it's pride and ego that says, well, don't tell them because they'll think you're weak or you're stupid or you don't know something. And you're just this person that's regurgitating other people's quotes. That self-doubt, that imposter syndrome, like who are
Right.
you to be helping people when all you're doing is quoting other people? Well, I mean, look at religion. For
Yeah.
thousands of years now, people have been quoting Jesus
Right.
and they make a living off of it now.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned it, and I have to ask dig a little deeper into this. How do you find balance in the chaos of life?
How do I find balance? When it gets, I don't find balance, but when things get too much for me, I actually will take myself and go away to a hotel for the weekend by myself, me and my computer, usually to the beach because the beach is my happy spot. And because it's only an hour away.
Oh, now you're just teasing me.
Hey, the other hour, the other way is Disney. So, I have the two happiest places on earth right an hour away from me.
Are you in Florida?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm in Orlando.
For some reason, I thought you were somewhere else. I think it's the accent.
The accent, everybody assumes I'm from New York originally, so everybody just hears the New York.
Yes, and that's exactly what I thought. That's funny.
So, yeah, so I will go away for the weekend and I will usually when I go away, I will take some time for myself to just be quiet and be alone, and then I'll take some time and I'll write because I wrote my first book, I published my first book, and now I have more books to write. It's like God says to you, well, you're not done yet.
Hmm.
And I laugh because he took this really dyslexic girl who didn't learn how to read till she was in the 7th grade, and he's decided that you're going to read books, you're going to write books. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding
me. He doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
Yeah, something like that. And I just kind of like, okay. So I write books and I'm working on 2 more right now. I was working on 1 and then so then another. I have buildings fall on me. I truly believe that when I'm supposed to be doing something, like a building will fall on me. Like you won't just get like a little hint. I'll get like over and over again. All of a sudden, all of a sudden I was getting all these night shift workers who are asking me like, how do I manage night shift? So I wasn't working on a night shift book. I was working on a different book. Right now, the working title is "Isn't It a Shame? How to reclaim your life when others have tried to rob you of it."
Mm.
Because I've heard, "Isn't it a shame? Isn't it a shame? She'd be so pretty if she just lose weight. Isn't it a shame if she had more self-confidence, she would do so much better?" Like I heard that all the time. So
yeah.
So I was writing about that, and how other people, the talk of other people is still in our head and is robbing us of our own destinies. And in the middle of that, I get all these people who are night shift workers. And I'm like, oh, guess I am writing night shifts about night shift now.
Wow. I can understand that. It almost feels like a creative curse. When you want to go to sleep, that's when the buildings fall on you.
Yeah.
Or when you're supposed to be working on something else and now this new idea pops in your head and it's not, you can't ignore it. You can't.
Yeah.
The more you try to suppress it, the taller the building gets.
Yes. Yes. And the more people in my life that come into my life and say, you know, I'm like, okay, I get the hint. I'll work on this.
So were there any fears that you had to overcome in writing these books? Because I'm writing a book right now called I Have No Idea What I'm Doing, and That's Why It's Working.
I love it. I love it.
It's my journey through to humility and through imposter syndrome. I don't know what I'm doing on a regular basis, but that's why it's working, is because I don't know what I'm doing. The
Right.
operative
See,
word there is that I'm doing it. Like you said, I'm just a doer. When I feel it, I just do it, because my theory, my philosophy on it is if I don't do it, I won't do it. So
right.
when I think about it, if I don't want to procrastinate, get anxiety, or overthink myself into paralysis, then I have to just get busy the moment I think about doing something, because it doesn't take as long as I think it does. So were there any fears that you feel like you had to overcome in this?
Oh,
This
it
one?
was terrible for me to publish my first book. You've got to understand that when you're dyslexic, you have had all these years of people who are like you see people who don't struggle to read and who write and who don't reverse words and reverse. And I was terrified. So I had written this book called How to Make Cpap Your Friend, because I really think that people don't get enough support for their Cpap when they're on Cpap therapy. And so I wrote the book. And I was like, I can't publish a book. Like I just kept saying that, and I kept saying that. And then I found an editor to edit the book and didn't come back with all red marks through it. I was shocked. She changed a little bit, but not a lot. And I decided I was going to publish it before the end of the year, and I published it the first week in December. So I was like, maybe I'll sell some, maybe I won't, but it's there and people can find it. And I got my first royalty check, and was like $2 and change. I was like, I'll take it. And I got my second royalty check, and it was like $12. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. So it's not
Wow.
sold hugely, but it gave me the belief that I could do it
Yeah.
because somebody obviously read it.
Yes. And they had to have had some kind of breakthrough, because once you're aware of something, you can't be unaware. So you made them aware
Right.
of something that would change their life. And that's beautiful. The the dyslexic part, I didn't know that, but I do know quite a few people that are dyslexic, and the courage that it had to take to get through that. I was going to ask, when you said dyslexic, I'm thinking, did she just like talk the book into
No, I
audio and
typed it.
pass it on? That's so cool. So I
There's
heard,
spell check. Thank God for spell check.
yes, yes,
There's
that's
spell check,
yeah.
and really a lot of it has to do with I was willing to put it out there, and then I was smart enough to hire an editor to pick up the mistakes that I can't see. Because a dyslexic will think something
Mm-hmm.
and maybe type something so it doesn't quite flow the way that they're thinking it. Because we don't necessarily put the words that are in our head into our hands the way we want them to. And so I hired an editor, and trust me, this book has not paid for the editor, but my soul has been paid for by paying for this editor, and she did a wonderful job and was totally supportive, and then told me I had changed her life also. So that made me feel good. Like she read the book and as she's reading it, she's learning something from it, which just made me feel that much better.
It's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm reading the book
Mm-hmm.
and I'm learning as I'm reading it. But then there's that third part where I'm teaching others as I'm learning from.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That is probably one of the most gratifying things, I imagine, being an editor and getting to read so many people's books, that whether they are good or not, you still learn a lot.
Yes.
And you get paid for it? What?
Yeah, but you must have to be really good at grammar. That would not be my calling.
No, not I. No. I'm working on it, but there are times where I get lazy with my speech and I just don't want to think of more to say. So let's talk a little bit more about sleep, because
Okay.
I feel like there's this passion here for a reason, and there's something that you want to tell people that will help them in this area. What are 3 things that you could give people?
So the first one is that you have to understand that you start getting ready for sleep when you get up in the morning. That your morning routine matters as much as your bedtime routine. And so what you do there is important. And people just assume that you sleep because of what you do before bed. And your day matters.
Yeah.
The second thing that people should realize is that blue blocker sunglasses is a great marketing ploy, but they don't work. Blocking
Stupid
blue
glasses.
light is I'm going to burst everybody's bubble. So they're great for decreasing fatigue in your eyes, but you need to be exposed to dark to be able to go to sleep.
Yes.
And your cell phone with a night thing on it is not the same thing. And the TV is not, you do not need the TV to fall asleep. You need dark to fall asleep. And I think the third thing is, although you need quiet to fall asleep, quiet is not the same for everybody. You know, if I live in the country, then quiet is very easy to get. But if I live in a city, quiet and silence are not the same thing. So you have to make things work for the environment you're in. There is no cookie cutter. Like everybody's like, well, everybody does the same thing. No, because not everything works for everybody. And not everybody is built the same way, and not everybody's designed the same way, and not everybody lives in the same place.
That is deep. So the morning routine is more important, if not just as important as the night routine.
Just as important as the night routine.
You need dark to go to sleep. So no phones or TV before bed. My wife's going to watch this later. She's going to be like, but it helps me go to sleep. I go to sleep.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You just think it does, but it really doesn't. And if you have a good sleep routine, you will see the difference.
Yes. And then quiet and silence are not the same thing. That's profound. I want to dig into 2 of those a little more. So talk to me a little more about this morning routine. Why is the morning routine just as important as the night routine?
Because we have something called a circadian rhythm, which is an internal clock, and it's a 24-hour clock, basically a 24-hour clock. Some people runs a little longer, some people a little shorter, but in general, it runs 24 hours. So that internal clock is actually set by how we are exposed to sunlight in the morning. And sunlight through a window is not the same as being outside. That's why when you walk outside and you have regular glasses, you get that moment, the moment. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, I hate the sun, right?
Dracula, yes.
So that moment where you get that sunlight and for like 35-40 minutes helps to actually produce serotonin, the hormone that helps you to be awake and alert and regulate your wake. And just like at night you need dark to produce melatonin, which allows you to transition from wake to sleep. So your sun in the morning and your dark at night actually helps you produce the hormones you need to be awake and to be asleep.
That's interesting. So, isn't it beautiful how we were just created to go with nature and we've kind of offset that balance?
Yeah, we did that really well.
When I wake up really early after not being able to wake up or sleeping horribly or not having a routine for so long, so like what happens with me is I'll wake up at 5:30, 6:30, sometimes 4 o'clock and feel energized and awake and it feels like I've had an entire day before the rest of the world wakes up, or by lunchtime it feels like I've had an entire day, but I'm not tired. I'm so happy that I've been up so long that I have this adrenaline. And like you said, some people's circadian rhythm is longer than others. I feel like mine is 32 hours because, well, it's 32 and then it's 20. It just fluctuates. That's what it feels like because I will stay up the days that I wake up really early. I'm so pumped, energized because I got so much done throughout the day that around the time where I start to get sleepy, I'm like, no, I don't want this day to ever end. So I'm up again till almost the same time that I got up the morning before because I'm so excited.
But
How?
you have to learn that that is not healthy, because our brain actually does a lot of maintenance and repair work, as well as takes our short-term memories and puts them into long-term memories during our sleep. So every time you miss sleep, you miss producing growth hormone, which allows us to heal our bodies. You miss the opportunity to take your short-term memories and put them into long-term memory. So it's like leaving your inbox full and then adding to it.
That's
And then,
overwhelming.
right. And then you're not letting your brain and your body like clean itself up and prepare itself from the day's activities. So you're doing a lot of things that you're damaging yourself over the long term by skipping sleeping.
And that makes a lot of sense because I heard you say earlier that people wonder why they're irritated or why
Mm-hmm.
they have problems and they don't attribute it to sleep. They go to someone and they need a pill or they need
Right.
some quick fix. And I was just talking to someone earlier. We talk about eating well and and working out as the only two things you need to do to lose weight.
There's
Talk
this
to
other
us.
big giant elephant in the room that nobody talks about, which is your sleep.
Yes, yes. And I noticed that when I got my sleep routine back on, I've been walking every day for over 90 days now. I've lost 16 pounds doing it. I eat less than I walk, and I'm just dropping the pounds.
Right.
But when I don't eat, I notice that I'm bloated the next morning and I've gained like, it feels like 3 or 4 pounds. I look at the scale and I'm like, there's no way. But the days that I sleep and I have like consistent sleep for like, let's say a week, I wake up in the morning and I feel skinny. It just, I
Your
feel
body's
so,
had the time to repair itself.
that's so
It has to
interesting.
recovery.
And it's so funny that we don't think about it's so simple, yet we hear that all that mantra that people say,
Almost
I'll,
every professional athlete has a sleep coach. The teams have sleep coaches. They have bedtimes. Trust me, sleep has become big business in sports.
Wow.
because they know how important sleep is to recovery. And you can't play sports if you can't recover.
So that's where all the sleep coaches are hiding.
Well, we hide in little corners. We're in dark little corners.
Literally.
Literally, yes.
So, do you have, speaking of sayings, I don't think I mentioned it, the saying that people have, I'll sleep when I die.
I hate that saying.
I knew that was coming. Talk to me about that. Tell us about it. Why do you hate that saying, Amy?
Because if you don't sleep, you're going to die. I mean, there's direct correlations between sleep and Alzheimer's, and sleep and cancer, and sleep and high blood pressure, and sleep and diabetes. And I mean,
Oh,
there's every time I turn around, there's another disease that they've associated with the lack of sleep, or with a sleep disorder, that if we took care of the sleep disorder, we wouldn't be fighting so hard with these conditions. But Alzheimer's the biggest one. Like, there is a direct link between sleep deprivation and Alzheimer's. And when you start really looking at the people who have Alzheimer's, they're usually those people who had really busy, successful lives, and also said, I'll sleep when I'm done. So they get 5-6 hours sleep a night, and they think that was enough. Oh, I only needed that much sleep, but they really didn't. They just forced their body to do it, and then their brain reacted to it. We need to treat our brain gently.
we do. Would you say that not sleeping contributes to headaches too?
Oh yeah.
Just, it's so simple, but it's not easy.
No, it's not, because you have to be willing to change.
Yeah.
Like, I have people who make appointments with me, and they're like, I just want to know how I can sleep 4 hours a day and be productive. And I'm like, you can't. And they get really upset with me. They're like, well, I read about this, that you could sleep 2 sessions of, like, two shorter sessions. And I'm like, no, no, our bodies weren't designed for that.
Yeah. No, not at all. I read an article. I think I know one of the articles they may be talking about. It was, you can sleep in shifts, and there's like this thing where you can be up for 24 hours and make these
Right.
20-minute naps in between, or do 2 hours, get up.
Right.
It
No.
just seems so dangerous.
Right. And people just don't get it.
No. Now, do you recommend any kind of sleep aids, or, like, let's say CBD or cannabis products?
I don't believe in recommending sleep aids, but it depends on the individual too. I do usually recommend that people take probiotics, because our gut health is directly contributed to our hormone production, and hormones are what helps us be awake and be asleep. So a probiotic's always good in the evening.
Do you have a particular probiotic that you recommend for it? No? Okay.
I give people an Amazon link to the one I take. It's so funny, because I'm probably the world's worst business person in that respect, in that, like, this is what I take. Here's the Amazon link. I have no connection to it whatsoever, other than I think it's a good product, and that's why I take it. And it's not overpriced hoopla.
I'm hearing some affiliate marketing possibilities here. Yes, I recommend this brand, as a matter of fact. Click this link for it.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that. I just don't, I want people to trust what I'm saying is the truth, and I'm not being paid for that particular product. Now, if there were a product that I really liked, and they approached me about affiliate marketing, yes, I would do it.
Hmm.
But I'd have to
Yeah.
believe in the product. It's like
Yeah.
I did that for a mattress once, where I did like several articles and hosted a couple of podcasts for them, and they paid me in mattress. But I believed in their product, so I didn't mind doing that and being affiliated. Yeah, I know.
I need a new mattress. That's so cool. A couple podcasts and you know how much a mattress costs?
Yeah, I'm aware.
I,
I wrote
and
7 articles and did like a tweet party, and you know.
where can people find your books? Can I put some links in the description? Maybe put them on the screen
So
somewhere?
my one book, the one that is published, is on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
It's digital only. I didn't want people to have to spend a lot for it, because it's really about getting them the help that they need, because I think that so many people on CPAP are just like, here's a box with a CPAP in it and a videotape or a DVD now, and good luck.
What is
And
CPAP? Sorry, you've said that a couple times. I feel like I know, but I want the audience to know. What is CPAP?
so if you have something called sleep apnea, which is where you stop breathing in your sleep,
Mm-hmm.
they use a machine called the CPAP, and what it does is it uses pressurized air to keep your airway open so it doesn't collapse.
Wow.
And so you wear this little mask over your nose. No, you'll see CPAPs on TV and stuff, and they always have these big, ugly old masks that nobody uses anymore.
Yeah.
Most people wear either a mask that just covers their nose or just sits under their nose, and it blows pressurized air. And a lot of people are given this machine and they said, now go sleep. And it's not always quite that easy, because you have to get used to the mask and you have to get used to the air. And so I wrote the book because I can't be there for everybody to get them through their first 30 days, but I can write a book that's a calendar book. So you have one thing to do each day for the first 30 days. And in there, I explain their sleep study so they understand what sleep apnea is. And I explain what the insurances require for them to pay for the equipment. And I explain why they need to follow up with their doctor, and when they need to change equipment, and when they need new masks, and how to clean their machines, all the important things.
Yeah, the things that they leave out when they give you this giant machine and tell you,
Well, it's
okay.
not a giant machine. The machine's only like this big.
Oh, okay. Well, it sounded very intimidating. CPAP just sounds big.
It's not anymore. And it's really not intimidating.
Okay. I have a friend that I was just talking to the other day that said he tried to do sleep studies, and they he couldn't do it because he couldn't fall asleep with those things on him, like all the hooked up to the machine to test him.
So they do home sleep studies also. So a lot of people, if we, in our sleep lab, if we bring you in and you to do a full sleep study and you just cannot fall asleep, well, then a lot of times the doctor will order a home sleep study. It doesn't tell us as much, but it tells us enough to know whether or not you have sleep apnea.
I long for the day when they can get the information they need, where the technology comes to the point where it's something that's futuristic, where they could just read you with like a laser beam or something.
That's a long way off. That's a long way off. But the home sleep studies aren't too bad.
No. I imagine that it would be a lot more comfortable to try that in your bed. Yes, in a safe place. I know I don't sleep well when I'm.
That's called first night effect.
Is that what it is?
Yes, it's called first night effect. So we, as a human being, feel most comfortable in our own bed with our own pillow, because everything smells right and everything feels right and everything is familiar. Our brain likes familiar. It does not like change. And so we go and we'll travel and we'll go into a hotel and we have this first night, oh my God, I'm in a strange place. I gotta know where the bathroom is, and the pillows don't feel right, and the bed doesn't feel right, and things don't smell right. And smell is such an integral part of our brain. I always recommend people bring their pillow with them because they will sleep a lot better. But if you can't bring your pillow, at least bring your pillowcase. Because
That
that
makes
has
sense.
that familiar smell.
I felt like I was I talked about it earlier. I was at a retreat. I only spent one night there, but I think we went to sleep at like 12:15. We went and did a scavenger hunt, and then we had to put together a presentation to show the next day. And when I went to sleep, I fell asleep pretty fast, but I woke up around 5 something, and it felt like I was in an acid trip when I woke up because the room looked so weird. I was like, why does my bedroom look long? And why is the screen behind me, why is it over there on the wall? And the room just kind of morphed and then
And
changed
then you
shapes.
remembered.
Exactly. Like I remember, oh yes, I'm not at home. And the other
Right.
part was, I was like, why did my bed split in half? And why is there this tall white dude in the other bed? My wife has turned to a tall white guy.
that would probably bother me just a hair.
Right? Right? Yeah, that bad acid trip. Now, do you have a mantra, quote, or saying that inspires you or gives you life
Yep.
that you, yes? Oh, I like
Oh
this.
yeah. Henry Ford is a true genius. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
That is my favorite. It's so simple that it's frustrating.
It's hanging up right above my computer.
Isn't it amazing though? Like let's talk about that for a minute. Isn't it amazing that the only thing that changes in any situation in life is the way we respond to it, what we think about it,
Right.
the meaning we give it. If I
Mhm.
think I can't, okay, here's an example. Have you ever gone into a room looking for something that someone told you to go find and you say I can't find it?
And it's like right there in front of you. Yeah,
But
totally, all the time.
because you've told yourself you can't find it, your brain doesn't want to make you a liar.
Right.
So it's going to make something to make you look like you're right. And the moment you say, I can find it, I can do this, the moment you start to speak the life, you start to see the life.
Right.
I love that. So I want to say that's the second or third time this has been quoted on this show.
Just tells you that you're attracting like tracks like.
Oh, that's true. That is very true. And we have a similar coach.
Yes, we do.
We share James Hilliard. I swear I'll be tagging him in every one of these episodes because everyone knows him until I get him on the show. He's booked out till September as well. Is there a question that you think everyone should be asking themselves?
Yeah. Why do I think I can't do that?
Why do I think I can't do that? Why that question?
Because this dyslexic girl thought she couldn't write a book until she said to herself, why do I think I can't do that? Now, there may be legitimate reasons you can't do something. I can't run a marathon. I know this. I am physically not designed to run long distances. I am yeah, no, that's never going to happen. Nope. So there are reasons sometimes there's a reason that you can't do something, but most of the time, the only reason is right here.
Yes.
And once you get past right here, then you can do it. But you have to ask yourself, why do I think I can't do it? Well, I can't do it because my body is not designed for it, or I can't do I didn't have a reason that I couldn't write a book. Like, dyslexia is not a reason to not write a book. Dyslexia is a condition that you learn to work around. But it's not a reason not to write a book.
It's true. It's true. It's just, I don't like labels or diagnoses because, is that diagnoses?
Diagnose. Yeah.
I don't like to be diagnosed because I feel like as soon as someone tells me something is wrong with me, I can use that as a crutch to not try.
Yeah, but sometimes it does help. Like, it helped because it wasn't that I didn't want to read.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that I wanted to reverse numbers and that I had troubles with math and I had troubles with vocabulary. It wasn't a lack of desire, it was a lack of ability. And once you understand what dyslexia truly is and learn how to work around it, then it doesn't inhibit you anymore and keep you from doing the things you want to do. So Audible is a wonderful thing. Before there was Audible, there were books on tape, and I used books on tape. And I would ask for more time when I had like reading assignments to do, because it would take me twice as long to read 2 chapters in a book. And some people would understand and some people wouldn't. And some people say, oh, there's no such thing as dyslexia. Well, I will tell you that there is such a thing as dyslexia. And the people who are naysayers do that because they're afraid of like that anybody would be different than them.
Oh yeah, I can totally understand that, especially if they are not well traveled.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I live in the South right now, so that happens a lot.
No comment.
They like to stay in the South.
Yes.
Which I don't blame them, because I don't like the winters anymore. I don't want to go back north.
We had that snowpocalypse here earlier. Was it this year? Yeah, earlier this year.
Yeah,
it doesn't even seem like it was the same year, but that was bad. It was 4 or 5 days of just thick snow that never went away, cold. Yeah. And our pipes didn't bust until the last day when it was all thawing out.
Yep, that's when they do that. See, okay. But I'm far enough south, I didn't have to worry about the snowpocalypse. I've lived through snowpocalypses before.
Where they belong.
Where they belong, in Kansas City and New York. Yes.
Wow. Well, this has been a really awesome interview, and I don't know if it's your voice or if it's just the time of day and how long I've been awake, but I'm actually sleepy now. So whatever you do, it works. Maybe it's your aura, maybe you're passing the energy through, maybe talking about sleep, or maybe it's just that time. I have one final question for you. You've already told people where we could find you, and that you have a book on Amazon, so I will be putting those links in the description for everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. You know, the cliche YouTube thing I have to say so that you remember to do something that you won't remember to do if I don't tell you to. Let's take the time to do that right now. I am still taking donations, and from those donations, I will donate 25 cents to Help Mental Health America and 25 cents on the dollar to One Tree Planted, because I want to stop the snowpocalypses. The other 50% contributes to keeping this going and flowing. The final question I have for you: are there 2 people that you feel are crushing their goals that you'd love to see on the show?
Oh, that's so hard. I think you would enjoy speaking to Laura, who's the woman I was talking about, who's my mentor. You know, she's just amazing at everything she does, and she does volunteer work, and she runs a big company, and she doesn't even know that she's this amazing person.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I know. I know.
We don't see it in ourselves. Everyone else can see it except for us.
Yeah. You know,
So
you know, obviously I think James is really an awesome person. Um,
he's been referred to me twice now.
um, I have somebody else that I will ask them before I send you their way.
Okay.
Um, there's a woman who started off as a paramedic and is now running several departments at a hospital. And she's just crushing it.
Wow. I feel like a lot of people can gain some insights from her, especially
Yes.
on growth and facing fear. I
And
mean,
she's young. She's very young. She's in her early 30s.
oh wow.
She's just crushing it in
So
every way, shape, or form.
my daughter is about to start at UNT, um, and she has her certificates to be an RN, or not an RN, a phlebotomist, and
Uh-huh.
I think an RNA, registered nurse assistant. But she got them in high school, and then she got a $40,000 scholarship to Mary Hardin Baylor, and she turned it down to pay her way through UNT because she wants to go to be a surgeon, and she just I don't know. She is she's very headstrong, and I'm really proud of
My
her.
daughter did that too.
I did that too, and I regretted it because I did not. My, have you ever heard talent can take you where character can't hold you?
No, I have not, but that's definitely a thought. And my daughter
Sometimes,
is definitely one of those people who she is amazingly talented. She's an artist who went into business and is just she does amazing work.
hmm, well,
And
maybe we could get her on the show.
maybe, but she's she's so funny. She's so like if I suggest it to her, she's not going to listen, but I can give you her email address.
Oh, that's so funny. That sounds a lot like all of our children, doesn't it?
Yes. She
Well,
is my
Amy, thank you.
daughter. So
She got all the good, but she also got all of the not so good. And, she's you, what, a few years back.
yep,
So,
pretty much.
well, it's been a joy. I will continue talking after this, but if I don't stop the recording now, we can go on forever because I love chatting with you. So I am going to cut it here. We're going to cue the music and